Soccer practice in Windsor, Colorado. I do a lot of business in Timnath, Colorado. I boxed in Greeley. I've lived in Loveland, have a cabin in Red Feather, head up to Estes frequently, and I've got a lot of team members who live in Loveland. So while I might live in Fort Collins, Colorado, I am living in Northern Colorado. Now, it has been 3 years since I have done this Living in Northern Colorado video series, and I'm excited to start off today's video with Living in Northern Colorado 2024. What's up, everybody? My name is Patrick Soukup, and this is the Living in Fort Collins YouTube channel, where you come to learn everything there is to know about living in Fort Collins and Northern Colorado, eating, sleeping, playing, and what the lifestyle is like. Now, we are licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado, so if you're considering a move to Northern Colorado, give me, my team, a call, text, or email. We would love to help you. We have helped hundreds of families move to the area and would love to be an asset on your team. So without any further delay, let's jump into today's video, Living in Northern Colorado 2024. Let's go. So let's set some ground rules. What is Northern Colorado? Well, technically it is Larimer and Weld County. And some of the larger municipalities in this area are Fort Collins, Loveland, Greeley, Evans, Johnstown, Berthoud, Timnath, Windsor, Wellington, Red Feather, Estes Park, among others. And today we are going to look at population, expectations, where we went, where we're going, jobs and economy, public transportation. We're gonna look at the school systems, some of the things that are exciting about the area, and my team's personal experience and kind of insights where they might like living in Northern Colorado. So let's get to it. Now, since we did this video in 2021, a lot of information has come out. Specifically in 2022, there was the Colorado Demographers Report that was released in 2023 that supplied a lot of information about population migration and trends and expectations moving into the future. And Larimer County and Weld County, as well as along the Front Range, are really expected to continue to grow pretty extensively comparatively to the rest of Colorado. Western slopes, eastern plains, really the focus is going to be along Northern Colorado and along that Front Range, specifically Larimer and Weld County. Now, I'm gonna look at some of this data just specifically so I don't miss anything, because there was some pretty significant changes when we did this 3 years ago versus today. The same municipalities are still growing pretty substantially, but let's jump into some of the population growth that we experienced over the last few years. The largest grower was Timnath. Well, when you start with only 529 people in 2011 and you get to close to 10,000 people, a population growth of 1,666% is pretty eye-catching. But when you start so low, it's really what to expect. Red Feather is something similar, where really the population was 109 and now it's 428, so still an extremely small population. But who knows, maybe Red Feather is the next location that sees this huge pop of population on, kind of that northwest side of Larimer County. Other areas that grew pretty quickly was Windsor, 114%, and Berthoud, 144%, Severance, Colorado, 256.4%, and again, one of the larger ones, Johnstown, Wellington, and there are others that are all experiencing growth. One of the only municipalities that experienced a decrease was Estes Park, decreasing 2.6%. And our population expectations for Weld County and Larimer County by 2050 are expected to double. Currently sitting right around 750,000 people between the two. Larimer County is actually a little bit larger in population, but over the next 30 years or so, we're gonna see that population double, definitely get to 1 million people here sooner than later, and Weld County is actually going to surpass Larimer County in population per the demographers. Now, one of the things that makes Larimer County and Weld County so great are their school systems. For one, we have 2 Division I schools in University of Northern Colorado and Greeley, Colorado, and Colorado State University, which is a Tier 1 research institution and also a Division I school sport in Colorado State University. Now, they're not great. They are not Power 5, but they're definitely good schools, education systems with lots of money pouring into them. With UNC getting a $50 million stimulus for a new medical center, and CSU actually getting $200+ million to build a new veterinary medical campus, which is already ranked one of the best in the country to supply more vet tech students and veterinary doctors, more than is currently being produced by CSU. Additionally, we have Front Range Community College, Ames Community College, among other smaller community type colleges that are available to those for secondary, post-secondary schooling. But then our school systems, Poudre School District is gonna kind of be, the head of the class as far as the most desired school district, which is gonna find itself in Larimer County, followed by Weld County RE4 is probably running in second place, which is in Weld County and serves Windsor, Severance, and West Greeley. And then third place would be probably Thompson Valley, but there are other school districts and systems in these two because you got Eaton, you've got Johnstown, you've got Evans. My sister, actually, they're teachers in the Weld County R6 school district, and she's definitely a very big fan of Toyton Elementary. It's an engineering type school in Greeley, Colorado. But I would say one of the things that Northern Colorado definitely excels at is our public school systems and then also post-secondary options. Now, how are you going to get around Northern Colorado? Because I would say that's probably one of the things that we will discuss in our pros and cons video is when you find yourself here, it's a pretty decent sprawl. Between southeast Fort Collins to East Greeley, you're looking at 45 to 50 minutes. If you're gonna go explore Red Feather, 40 to 50 minutes, depending on if you're gonna go to Glacier View, Red Feather, or Crystal Lakes. And then Loveland, Fort Collins are kind of intermixing and becoming one, but you're gonna find yourself going back and forth between Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor, Timnath, Wellington, Johnstown pretty substantially. And I-25 is going to be your main, basically economic artery, and really is the main artery between here and Denver. But you're gonna be on I-25 quite a bit. That's gonna be road constructions. Currently there's 3 lanes everywhere except between Berthoud to Meade, which I believe is about a 9-mile stretch. But here sooner than later, we will have 3 lanes all the way from Fort Collins to Denver. And then east-west, we've got US 34, Harmony Road, which is really becoming pretty congested between Fort Collins and Timnath. County Road 5 is gonna be a pretty decent artery between Fort Collins, Timnath, and Windsor. And then also you've got US 287 going north and south between Fort Collins all the way to Denver, but will connect you to Fort Collins, Loveland, and Berthoud on the west side of I-25. US 257, if you're trying to get around some of the annoyance of the traffic in Windsor, basically you're gonna be on Harmony or US 34, hit 257 to get to the east side of Windsor, or if you can stay on the west side of Windsor, that I-25 to Main Street will get you that way. But I would say Windsor, one of the things that you're not gonna enjoy a lot about living in Windsor is some of the traffic and bottleneck that happens on Main Street. But you can also take Highway 14, which is Mulberry Avenue, all the way to Highway 85, and then head south, cut through Eaton, Alt, and then head to Greeley that way. So there are really multiple options to offload some of the traffic and congestion that you could experience with, as we discussed earlier, the growth of Northern Colorado. But the travel is pretty clear, pretty clean, but you are gonna find yourself commuting back and forth and to and from these communities quite often and frequently. As of 2022, Larimer County had a $10.5 billion GDP. And some of our major employers in the area are going to be Colorado State University, Poudre School District, Woodward Governor, Larimer County, Advanced Energy, Broadcom is gonna be up there as well. And then Weld County, with a GDP of roughly $7.5 billion in 2022, has major employers of Vestas, Ames Community College, Weld County R6 school districts, Noble Energy, which is now Chevron, JBS, Weld County government, and then City of Greeley as well, as far as some of our larger employers of the area. So between the two, I would say we continue to seek and need big employers that bring higher paying jobs for the region because our cost of living is definitely something to consider when moving here, and is something that not even just Fort Collins. It's actually Fort Collins, Timnath, Windsor. Those three areas are really starting to increase as far as median sales price. Loveland, and it's not just buying and selling homes, it's also renting. So one of the things that we need to continue to have and bring and create and really flourish is higher paying, more opportunities for jobs in Northern Colorado. So after the last 3 years, so many things have been changing about Northern Colorado. Now, developments have been taking shape like Montava and Fort Collins that was really just a pipe dream 3 years ago, as well as Future Legend Sport Park in Windsor, Colorado, which was just breaking ground a few years ago. And there are projects that are taking shape and taking place in Northern Colorado that are really exciting a lot of the folks here in the area. So again, not to miss anything, I'm just gonna jump on a list that we've created on some of the projects that we're excited about. So for Fort Collins, Montava, Bloom breaking ground, the Max Transit, both currently along College Avenue and then along Elizabeth that will be breaking ground, $100 million here sooner than later. The Southeast Community Center, let's see here, Glade Reservoir that will be happening in Northwest Fort Collins, the Foothills Mall redevelopment by McQuinney's, the $200 million CSU Vet Center. What will happen with the Hughes Stadium? We'll find that out in the next few years. And maybe by the next time I do this video, we will know what's going on and possibly even have built over at Hughes Stadium, which is 165 acres of open land. And then in Loveland, we've got the Loveland Municipal Airport that is having a terminal with 2 gates, widening of the runway, and then whether it's a virtual tower or a physical tower, I do believe that sooner than later that Loveland will have a regional airport that has commercial airlines that are consistently coming in and out of Fort Collins. Maybe not a ton, but maybe 2 to 3 per week that takes you to certain destinations on a frequent basis. The Medical Center of the Rockies, the additions to that area, more types of health that they're going to be, health care that they're going to be able to provide. And the Medical Center of the Rockies was just ranked the #2 hospital in all of Colorado. Centera South for those in Johnstown, Loveland, and Windsor, and Berthoud even, that might have a Whole Foods. It's already $10 million, but it's gonna be a $1 billion development over there south of US 34 and on the west side of I-25. Bass Pro Shops, Chimney Hollow Reservoir, that is going to be basically coming operational, and Larimer County will have recreational opportunities there. Greeley has the Colorado Eagles and Hotel Water Park, which is actually a new development that instead of the ranch in Loveland, Martin Lind is potentially going to be building this on 800 or so acres in West Greeley, where there's going to be a water park, hotel, and relocating a 9,000 seat arena for the semi-pro team, the Colorado Eagles. And then like I talked about earlier, the College of Osteopathic Medicine at UNC. In Windsor, there's major growth, the Rain Dance development, Rain Dance Golf Course, Future Legends, the Cobb Lake Regional Water Treatment Authority, and then essentially the Glade Reservoir. One of the things that we'll talk about in our pros and cons video is water, which was ultimately a huge issue, big, major, important resource for the growth of an area that doesn't have a ton of water. So between Halligan Reservoir, Colorado Big Thompson, the Glade Reservoir, and the Gallatin Reservoir, those two are part of the Northern Integrated Supply Project for the water in Northern Colorado. They're going to develop these reservoirs that will become recreational opportunities for those living in Northern Colorado. Some other things around Northern Colorado that have happened and are exciting: TPC Colorado, the BMX bike course off US 287 in Berthoud. Ladera is taking shape in Timnath, Colorado, of over 2 million square feet of commercial space that's going to be going there, along with In-N-Out Burger. Timnath Lakes, which is being built by Toll Brothers, Century Homes, Lennar, Brightway, and others. Rerouting County Road 5 and Main Street in Timnath. Buc-ee's just opened up in Johnstown. Centera South, kind of like I said, in Johnstown. Bella Ridge Golf Course. I think I already talked about Bass Pro Shops. Shields has taken place. or taken hold in that kind of corridor along US 287, which has really pumped the sales tax for Johnstown. There are some sales tax rich communities in Northern Colorado, specifically speaking, Johnstown and Timnath are flush with sales tax revenue because they just really benefited from the location of these developments without having a huge governmental expense and budget. So what does my team think about living in Northern Colorado, and where are they excited about kind of opportunities for the future? I will tell you that Zach consistently talks about Johnstown, Colorado. Between Buc-ee's, it's I think it's the second largest Buc-ee's in all of North America. And his comment is, what do they see that we don't? And I know that there's a 60-mile radius with a huge population all the way to Cheyenne, Denver, West Greeley, East Estes Park that Buc-ee's is playing off of as far as that opportunity. And Johnstown kind of sits right in the middle of there. Myself, I did a video recently of living in Windsor, Colorado. I would say that's probably one of my most exciting areas because you have this even balance of population growth that has already taken place, commercial that is coming, some obstacles they've got to kind of understand with the development of both East and West Greeley with the bottleneck, which is Main Street. I've got two different team members, Connor and Izzy, that both live in Loveland as well with Zach. Caleb lives in Greeley. He's super excited about that area with the potential for future median home sales price, which is definitely more expensive than it used to be. And there are people who push back saying, hey, Greeley is just way too expensive for the lack of opportunities that is there. But I would say there's also a lot of people that are like, hey, there could potentially be great growth here. Weld County, it is an oil and gas county. It's very rich in as far as its revenue, as far as the county goes. There's no shortage of revenue there because it is heavy oil and gas, which we'll talk about pros and cons video. But regardless, Weld County and Greeley, Colorado are one of his most exciting kind of areas of Fort Collins. I still am extremely excited about Timnath, its potential growth to 30,000 people. If you haven't listened to the podcast between myself and my uncle, which is the former mayor of Timnath of 4 years. So overall, we're super excited about these areas amongst others. I bought a cabin up in Red Feather and I'm really exploring that area and I've enjoyed Parvin Lake, Dowdy Lake, just the overall Boy Scout Road, and then going to eat at the Potbelly and now the tavern that I recently went to as well. And then people, of course, love Rocky Mountain National Park, which is just to the west of Estes Park. And then if you get to enjoy Estes Park during elk bugling season, be careful. There have been some interactions with animals there. So if you're going to visit, be careful. But there's just not enough I could talk about Northern Colorado, birthed its population explosion, and that, I think if you're considering the area, there are pros and cons and things that are to be desired or things that could still happen to be more desirable in each different area specifically. So feel free to ask us questions, reach out, like I said, comment, text, or email us. We do help hundreds of families we have helped hundreds of families move to the area and would love to be an asset on your team if you're considering making that move. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and it probably won't be 3 years until I make the next one, but make sure you stay tuned until next week's video, pros and cons of living in Northern Colorado. Until next time, take care.